Hey everyone, we are back for another week of exciting rehearsals. This week we prep for finals and stand up to the administration with our guest host, Deven Halcom. We also find out what made Trevor say.
It was adorably hilarious watching them experience like getting on a tram for the first time and getting on the plane.
And why Trish said.
You know, nothing like having a conversation with somebody, smacking the rackets into the floor.
All this and more. So get out on the field and we will see you back on the sidelines for this week's episode of On a Water Break.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in.
It's time for a water break. Welcome to another episode of Season 2 of On a Water Break, the podcast where we talk about everything you and your friends are talking about at rehearsal on a water break. I'm Jackie Brown. I have missed you guys so much. I'm so happy to be back. It is the beginning of April, and we all know that means everyone's winter championships are right around the corner. But it's also the start of drum corps season, and there are people already planning for their fall marching bands. It's a crazy time of year, and we have our panel ready to get you through this week. So let's start with Jack. You just had an episode drop with Rob Jett from Diamond Bar High School.
The interview went amazing, and I love getting someone in a room who knows their stuff from tail end to tail end, and allowing that individual to place their wisdom down, not only in their niche of parade guard, but also being able to bleed over into the winter guard realm. Their own approach to certain pedagogy is really interesting, because I think new instructors need to hear it from these individuals who blaze the trail in order to build their own path themselves. So it was an awesome interview, and I got to really get a picture of what Rob's journey was like and where he would want to see the art form go from there. So just an excellent interview from a winter guard standpoint and from a West Coast parade guard standpoint as well too.
I love seeing all the crossover that you guys are doing, and like what you said about like bringing these old pros, so to speak, I put that in quotes, to the front line to talk to our new instructors. Like that's something we totally were missing out on, like when I was a young instructor. So this is fantastic to be able to facilitate this with you guys. Love
Absolutely.
it. Trish, how did your nostalgia weekend go at your local show that you went to recently?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I wore my old team jacket, New York Royal Guardsmen. My coworker wore her Blessed Sacrament jacket. There were other people that popped in. Matt Hurley from AMP had his Umber Marquee jacket. So much fun. I walked into that gym and got all the feels. They all just came rushing back. I told my kids, all I want today is a good show. I don't care about the score. I really do. But I care about the score. I just want a good show. And they did well. It wasn't the magic moment we've been waiting for, but it was way better. The score went up 11 points. So all good in that world. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great day. I mean, we were taking pictures with our jackets, and it was just everything we hoped for.
It's so exciting. I love getting to like go back and just, experience those things with these people and like bring those feelings back and like, and kind of show that to the next generation, kind of like what we were talking about with Jack, but more of the just what it feels like to do what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
And even Rob had that same level of camaraderie about looking back at the groups he was part of, right? And how that these sort of
some good ones. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
I love it so much. And I feel like there's been a lot of nostalgia for like the good old days of drum corps, the good old days of WGI and stuff like that lately. And it's just, it's kind of coming full circle, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So we have an amazing guest clinician for this episode. I had to pull him in because he and I went to high school together, first of all.
Interesting.
Yes. So there are very few people who understand the world of marching band through the lens that we both share very deeply in our souls. But welcome to the podcast, Deven Halcom. Hi.
Hi, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
It's
been a minute.
It has. We haven't talked in ages. But I tell you, I always see your Facebook posts about what's going on in your band room. And I didn't say this yet, but you are band director. And I'm honestly so happy that you are. Because how many people, say they're going to be a band director when they're in band in high school, and then you followed through and you did it, and it was amazing. And I love it. So I always look at your Facebook posts though, and I'm like, you have such great things to say about our activity, and so many fun things happen in your classroom. I absolutely love it. So I wanted to bring you on specifically to talk about what you are doing and how you recently had to advocate for your program. But before we get into that, we have a little tradition here. Has anyone told you about the 32 count life story yet?
I think your producer mentioned something to me about it. I'm just worried about what the tempo is going to be.
It's like 60
Everyone
beats per
does.
minute. I don't know. I'm kind of a tempo queen, so I don't really ever know what the tempo is. It's not too bad, though.
You're
It's about
like
30
an
seconds.
adagio sight reading tempo. It just gets slower and slower.
Well, tell you what, if you go over, we won't do any sort of punishments for you. How about that?
Okay, fair enough.
All right, we'll give you 8 off the Met, and then you just run from the beginning of your life to now.
Sounds great. So, my name's Deven Halcom. I was born in Michigan, and then in late elementary, I moved to South Central Missouri, where, as we already mentioned, Jackie and I went to high school together, and an amazing band director building a program in the middle of nowhere. A few years later, I moved to Southeast Missouri, finished my studies there, and then I started studying at Missouri State University, transferred to Brigham Young University, took my first job in California. I'm just kind of wandering all over the globe a little bit. And now I teach in Utah.
Nice, that was perfect timing.
All right, let's do it.
I love it. Okay, so I didn't know you lived in Michigan. I lived in Michigan before I lived in Missouri. What's up with that?
Small music world.
Crazy. So tell us about this, what happened with your Winter Guard program. It's been a really hot topic, I feel like, on all of the color guard instructor forums lately, that Winter Guards in particular are getting removed from their practice spaces because they're quote unquote damaging the floor. And I will tell you.
Oh my goodness, I have a lot on this, but go right ahead, Dev.
It's insane. Well, Deven told a great story about what he did. So do you want to go ahead and let us know how did you advocate for your program when this happened?
So I'm a bit of a troublemaker. Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, good.
My first year at my current job, our group had painted a floor. And if you've ever painted a floor before, you got to put something underneath it. But a first-year instructor didn't get something underneath it and left just a couple bits of paint on the gym floor. That was our bad. She should have checked it. I should have checked it. And then we get chewed out. Not allowed to use the main gym anymore. And I go back to look at the damage. I had to look at it like a state gaming official to see what level of damage it was. Based on the tone of the email, I thought they spilled a can of paint. No, it was literally total space over the entire floor smaller than the palm of someone's hand. Wow. It was 15 minutes to clean up at most. But they were all upset about it. So no more main gym. But that's the only one that has a raised second level where as an instructor, you can see the full floor layout. So most of the time they put us in the lunchroom commons. The problem is our guard is small. That year we made it work. We ended up with a new staff. And the instructor, she's pregnant with her second child. They've got a small group. And it's the 6 or 8 kids and a couple instructors, and one of whom is carrying a child, hauling dozens of these lunch tables out of the way so they can practice. And there were several issues. I started making a fit about this is a Title IX issue. While our kids have a various spectrum of gender identities and things of the sort, in the eyes of the school, they're all girls. Hot topic for later. But either way, they were all just being, hey, go practice in the lunchroom. Meanwhile, the indoor percussion group that I host as well is more co-ed but more male was getting access to the gyms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my eyes, I don't think either group should be kicked out, but this is a definite inequity between these two activities.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, they were hosting all kinds of programs. So I'm hosting drums and guard, but they were hosting like 7th grade basketball. They don't even go here.
Right.
Send them to the middle school, play basketball there. Meanwhile, the drum lines were getting sent like, hey, go back and practice in the band room tonight because there's no gyms for you. We need a gym. We got to pull out this floor and set everything up. And so it was just not going well. And someone from the district facilities management had said, no more gyms for the guard. The drums were fine, but not the guard. And in that space in between, they hosted an assembly where they had an ice block challenge. Beginning the assembly, they pull a kid down from each class. They set up a little kiddie pool with like a 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cube of ice. You have to sit on the ice block, and whoever melts it first wins.
What?
Well, about 30 minutes later, they realize it's not going to work. So they just start smashing it with these metal water bottles.
No.
Yeah, because that's not going to damage the floor in the least bit. And then as I'm looking out the sides, these kiddie pools are not holding up anything because they've just been smashed through, and this water's leaking all over the floor. And it's just sitting there for 30 minutes in the assembly. And I walk over to the AD. I never want to hear anything about how the guard has damaged the floors again. Fast forward again, we have a different assembly, and one of the shop teachers brings in, admittedly, it was a very nice motorcycle, and just drives it all over the floor.
What?
I never want to hear about how the guard has damaged the floors again. We have a storage closet off of this same gym, and I walk in there, and softball pitchers and catchers are there practicing inside. Now, I know very little about the sport of softball, but I'm pretty sure this dense chunk of sports equipment getting thrown at high velocities, and this is warm-up and practice for them. They're bouncing tons of them off the floor. And I say it with love because the catcher is one of my flute players. But I'm still like, that should not be an inside on the good gym floor activity.
No, it should not. Nope.
And then the final straw, when I finally just blew a gasket, they had a wheelbarrow race. Not like the old fashioned where like you get on your arms and then a partner holds up your legs and you try to walk across the floor as fast. No, like out of your garden shed wheelbarrow.
Oh my god.
With a wheel on one end and these like sharp little metal legs. And a kid done goofed. They get to the end of the race and he drops it and takes like a free throw lane gash into the floor. At which point I said, I'm never hearing about this again.
Right.
Get us a space by next week or I'm taking it to the district. And then I take one of the rifles from the kid, butt first, and I just smash it. Now, keep in mind, I have been built like a Contra player since Jackie and I first met all those years ago. I'm not a small guy. And I just smash it into the floor. See, nothing. Well, I'll see what we can do about getting you some gym space. Like,
are you taking pictures of all this stuff? Because that's what I do.
Admittedly, I didn't take pictures of the damage from their things because they were running while they were going on, so I couldn't assess the damage while it was going on. But most of those events I described were in front of the entire school.
Right. Well,
everybody saw it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, and they were just guessing. Yeah, go ahead. What's up?
What was their initial like response? Like, what was the district's response when they kicked the guard out? Like, what was their justification for that? Like, did they have that? Like, I mean, it was like smaller than a palm, right? Like a paint on the floor, and it can be taken off, right? I'm taking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then when it came to the dents in the floor, this was the other kicker. I didn't even mention it when I was going off about this thing. I went and checked the damage. I am not a guard instructor. I love guard instructors. I do my best to listen and learn as best I can to support the guard. I don't do the whoosh, toss, catch very well. But I have never seen a guard that practices by the front door of a gym. I walk in, I look down, and here's all these pings in the floor. Yeah, because they're going to practice their 5 tosses by the door. That makes zero sense.
Happened to us too. And I don't want to, jump in on your story, but same exact thing happened to us. The school ended up buying us these huge mats. I'll take a picture next week when I go back, that the kids have to roll out and put the floor on top of, because we had the same issue. But in referring to what you're talking about by the door, there was one night that I was sitting, I mean, we've been going back and forth with this for years now. We have the mats, so we don't hear about it too much. But we went through this, you know, the guards denting the floor. They can't use the gym. They can't, you know, we went through this whole thing. But one night I was sitting on the edge of the bleachers talking to my staff, and I looked down and there were dents by the bleachers. So I took my phone out and I took a video and I said, okay, there are dents right here, but we don't practice here. We practice here. And I took a picture of the kids on the 50 by 70 space. A video. And the admin was like, thank God you made that video because you would have gotten blamed for that too. What they found out was the kids in gym class playing badminton were sitting on the edge of those bleachers, smacking the badminton rackets into the floor. Like just, you know, nothing, like having a conversation with somebody, smacking the rackets into the floor. But we would have gotten blamed for that.
Well, and that's the messed up part is with so many of these things, they just assume that's the kids throwing stuff in the air without realizing that like rifle technology has developed a lot in the last 20, 30 years. So what the AD didn't know is ours had that comfortable pad on the end. Mm-hmm. That was the best spot to drop it.
Right.
You know,
right.
And like, so just the assumption it must be the guard kids.
But when you're going back, going back to what you said about, the gender issue and all that kind of stuff. And it's not even so much, if that's an issue in your school, that wasn't so much an issue in my school, but I kind of feel the same way that you feel. Why can't the space that is a part of their school be for anybody? Why does it have to be like, we do an activity that dents the floors. Okay, so you came up with like, why? Okay, but like we're doing something positive too. Like, why is that? You know, I always feel like, all right, come on, guys, we have to leave so they can go in. You know, and it's degrading to the kids, honestly. And again, they worked it out on our end. We haven't heard anything in a while, but I feel you, and this is a nationwide problem for real.
Definitely. I made a meme about this because one of my guard instructor friends sent me a picture of herself. They had a donkey basketball tournament in their gym. And she sent me a picture of herself riding a donkey in the gym. And she was like, why is my guard not allowed to practice in this gym that I'm currently riding a donkey in? So if you ever see that meme going around, that's why.
That's an interesting midnight tradition, I do have to say. Donkey basketball. Kind of foreign here on the West Coast.
Well, I need to welcome Whitney. Hey, girl.
Yeah. Hi, Whitney.
Yep.
Hi. Is it delayed? Am I delayed? Am I the problem? Okay. I love my
anymore.
computer. Okay. Cool. It was just like being really slow. Hi, I'm here. I'm late again. It's a consistent issue. Fire me.
You're late because you're out doing the best you can in the world for everybody that needs you. You're just so in demand.
You know what? We made state and I'm not gonna apologize for it. So like we had rehearsal and I had to put a kid in an ineligible. I know. Yeah. I had to put a JV kid in a varsity member spot because she went ineligible. Yay, Texas. And then a senior decided to quit today. So I had to close the second. Yeah. Yay, we made state.
These kids.
All right, everybody. If you have not listened recently, we have changed up the format of our show a little bit. So this is my first show with the new format. So excuse me while I get used to it. So this might be a little bit weird for me, but let's start with the news. Deven, not to put you on the spot, but do you want to start with your article first?
Yeah, so I currently teach in Utah. Just to the north of us is the University of Idaho, the next state north, and they were asked to fill in for Yale's pep band at the NCAA tournament last weekend. when you look at it, it's not surprising at first. Bands are really great about just supporting each other as best they can. I've been able to borrow equipment from opposing pet bands, things like that. The band kids aren't where the stuff gets spicy. But when you look into it, just how much work it took, they even got like Yale shirts. They had a rehearsal where they had to learn the Yale fight song. They changed the lyrics from one of their other tunes to make it match Yale. Like they had a cheer about Idaho, and they made it about Yale Bulldogs or something. They did so much to make sure that the Yale folks felt supported by a basketball team. They worked their cheer squad. It caught the players off guard because the band didn't fly with them. They just flew with the cheerleaders. And so, wait, there's a band here?
Where'd the band come from?
It's the folks from Idaho. So really quite awesome just seeing folks supporting each other.
I love that so much. Whitney, is yours working for you there?
Yep. I'm ready, I think. It's just being real slow. Okay. Jonesboro High School band members are performing at the White House at the Easter egg roll. I didn't know the Easter egg roll was even a thing. The majestic marching Cardinals from Jonesboro High School are headed to the White House for a special performance during the 2024 White House Easter egg roll on April 1st. First Lady Jill Biden and the school's director of bands, Lionel Goodwin, surprised the more than 150 students during an after-school rehearsal with the news. Dr. Biden expressed her excitement and thanked the students for putting in the extra work after class and practice for their upcoming performance at the White House. The band's upperclassmen will be featured performers at the egg roll. The Metro Atlanta band was recently featured in the Apple Music Super Bowl commercial with Usher, and they are slated to perform at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade this year. And Jill Biden is just really excited, and she's been an educator for more than 30 years. I think a lot of people know that. And this is continuing her theme of egg-ucation at this year's White House Easter egg roll, transforming the South Lawn and Ellipse into a school community full of fun educational activities for children of all ages to enjoy. So they're getting all kinds of opportunities.
I love it. Jonesboro, and this is Jonesboro, Georgia. I always get them and Arkansas mixed up because Arkansas is so close to me. I will come find you guys at the Macy's parade, so don't step off until somebody's had a picture with me. Just hold up the whole parade. Like, nope, Jackie hasn't gotten here yet. Could you imagine?
Oh, my word.
All right, Jack, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so speaking of opening up opportunity for performing artists, we have the Indiana Band Showcase. They will be returning to the 2024 DCI World Championship. So for people who don't know, the Indiana Band Showcase is a statewide band group from basically the state of Indiana. And what they allow is a marching band-esque like experience where high school students can go park and blow in front of an awesome audience. And this is really giving individuals from smaller bands the opportunity to perform at a world level event and have that awesome once in a lifetime experience. So I'm always an advocate for giving individuals from smaller groups the opportunity to shine, because really any band program, students have the opportunity to shine. So giving that access to those individuals is super meaningful. So I'm excited to see them return for the 2024 DCI World Championships.
Nice. Trish, you've got a really important one this week.
I do. It's about concussions. And apparently, according to this article, we've been treating concussions all wrong. That according to this panel of experts, the most up-to-date consensus statement on concussion in sport, it completely discourages total rest when someone has a concussion, that the brain needs active rehabilitation to heal itself. So, this is going to change a lot of things now. How do we handle this in our activity? I mean, when we watch NFL games and we see players being rushed to a dark tent, to assess their concussion status, how are we going to tell our parents and our students now that, if this in fact, takes off, this theory takes off, how are we going to tell? I see this being a big thing. Like, I can't imagine telling my parents, yeah, but they still have to practice because, the brain needs active rehabilitation. I think until we get more information, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. If this is going to be a consensus thing that this is going to take off now, and that all doctors are going to recommend active rehabilitation as opposed to complete rest. So I guess there's two different ends of it. You can look at it from both ends of it, but I think in our activity, so a kid that's out on the GCI tour away from their families gets ends up with a concussion. How, the parents are going to be so far away. They're going to wonder, should we go get them? Should we let them? What's the Corps doing to make sure that they're, rehabbing correctly? So it's an interesting read if you get a chance to check it out, but it opens up a lot of cans of worms.
I think so. As someone who's going to be attending the University of Western Michigan School of Medicine in July, I think one of the things that I just found out. So yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. So I think there's a lot of nuance that comes with like these types of diagnoses, right? Where we originally thought it was very black and white, like, oh, you either have a concussion or you don't, right? And so as the application of a certain remedy, it was very black and white as well too. But I think we're beginning to realize that a lot of medicine is a lot more nuanced than what it is. And I think what's going to be the best way forward is like finding that middle ground, right? Between like, all right, we're not going to put you back to 100% yet, but at the same time, we're not freezing everything up too. And what does that gradual increase look like? I think that's where the definition of what remedy will be is going to eventually look like. What is that gradual increase and how fast are we going to bring you back into the activity? Because I think it's really interesting. I think this opens up opportunity for the individuals to still participate, even if at a limited capacity, but still find a way to contribute. And I think in the long term, not only just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, that type of gradual increase will be beneficial for the individual. But again, help trying to define how fast that return to normalcy is, I think, is going to be the difficult part.
One thing that we really need is more science on it.
Absolutely. 100%.
It definitely seems like it's going that way, because think about like when I was in school and like in elementary school and like a kid broke their leg or something, like even though like that's a pretty clear cut injury, they'd have a broken leg, immobilize it, put it in a cast for 6 weeks or whatever. And then nowadays it's like, oh, they broke, well, what part of their leg? What severity is the break? Are we going to completely immobilize it, or are we going to put them in a walking boot? And there's so many different options now at different levels. I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And I think concussions is just understanding concussions better, is following that same long line of medical thinking of realizing, well, if you don't use it, your body's not going to heal it. It's going to be like, oh, I don't need this anymore. So why do I need to heal this injury?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, guys, let's get back out on the field. It is time to take some more reps.
Hey, this is Christine Ream.
And Chris Green.
Guard Closet was founded as a consignment business in 2000. Since then, it has grown to include winter guard, band, percussion, and other genres.
We can help you with custom flag and costuming designs.
Our consignment inventory has plenty of great looks for your color guard, drumline, and marching band.
Pay it forward. When you purchase consignment, you help other programs. Last year, we sold over 400 sets of consignments and returned over $125,000 in payments to our consigners for their sales.
Additionally, Guard Closet offers custom and pre-designed costumes, flags, floors, and formal wear, full or partial show writing, educational programming, and other services.
Max out your rehearsal time and set up a microsite for easy student ordering for shoes, gloves, and other equipment.
The Guard Closet team is here to help you get everything you want and need for your season. Check us out at guardcloset.com and follow us on social media.
my gosh, Trevor, are your arms tired?
They are.
Flying all the way from Ireland, guys. Trevor just joined us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How was it? How was the trip? Tell us about it.
It was amazing. It was the first international trip for the Western Carolina University band, Pride of the Mountains. And we took 250 amazing souls over the pond to perform in the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade in Dublin, Ireland. And it was absolutely amazing. The parade was attended by its largest crowd to date, according to their record keeping. Over 500,000 people were at the parade that day. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome. It seemed like every time you turned the corner, it felt like the parade was going to be over, Jackie. But it was like, oh my God, that's like another 20,000 people right there. So
that's amazing.
Was Kennedy High School from California there as well too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know some friends who went on that trip as well. I've heard that it's a monster of a parade. So that's awesome, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah, we met a lot of cool high school bands from North Carolina, California. The other college band there was University of Missouri, who made today. Mizzou was in the house, and they did a really great job. They go every 4 years to that parade, so it's kind of built into their culture. They kind of helped us out a little bit in our planning for that trip. The band also had performances at Kilkenny Castle. In front of like all the primary school students there. So about 700 primary school students watched us give a standstill performance. We played anything from A Land of 1,000 Dances to Kendrick Lamar's N95 to Miley Cyrus's Flowers. So along with our WCU fight song, and it was just a really great experience. The students had a really great time. 90% of the students who attended this trip had never been on an airplane before.
Wow.
So it was adorably hilarious watching them experience like getting on a tram for the first time and getting on a plane and, watching them like go through like the smallest bit of turbulence and seeing like their reaction. And it was just a really great experience for all the students and just for the university. And we got some really good footage. If you're able to go to WCU, prideofthemountains.com and check out. We did like kind of days in the life of like different students, each one of the days, and kind of took you through like their different experiences. It was just a really great time. And, I got a couple more gray hairs, but we had like 5 or 6 different flights that we were traveling on. But man, the students were just great and they had great performances. We got really great feedback. We had about 60 or 70 parents, volunteers, supporters who went with us as well. Friends and family. So they were really, really supportive cheering section. Our president, our provost, our chancellor, Dr. Kelly Brown, she went with us with her amazing husband. It was just a great experience. And it was definitely life-changing. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. Oh my gosh.
I bet Whitney's proud of us being an alumni and the alumnus of WCU. I sent Whitney all the pictures. I'm like, look what we're doing right now.
But it's trips like those that like really make a world of a difference for individuals. Like just educationally as well as just people make best friends on those type of trips, and I think the international exchange is obviously like such an awesome draw. So I mean, you're doing miracle work, dude. You really are. You're changing lives.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
I love that. I love that you guys got to go when Mizzou went too. Like, I just missed being on the Mizzou trip when I was in school and going to Ireland, and like they've been doing that for a really long time. It's so cool. So I don't know. Maybe we need to put together our own alumni band, and like Whitney can go and I can go. We'll just have an On a Water Break band, and we'll all go to Ireland. Great.
That'd be awesome. Good idea.
All right, everybody. It is that time in the week where we are just going to go off against something that is bugging us in the marching arts world, and we call it What Are We Doing? And I know, Trish, you are chomping at the bit.
What are we doing?
Trish, I know you're just ready. You look like you're on the edge of your seat. Jump in there, girl.
I am. What are we doing rushing the seasons? Okay. So we're all trying to wrap up our winter season, but at the same time, everything else is coming right around the bend. It's drum corps season. We have to start planning for marching band before the end of the school year. But it's like, it's so much. It's so crazy. How do we all keep it together? So at my school, the band director did a lunchtime, announced the show for marching band season today, which is great. But now I know when I see the kids next Tuesday, because we're off this week for Good Friday and Easter weekend or whatever, but I see the kids again next Tuesday, they're going to be like, oh my God, Trish, we know the marching band show, and what are we going to do? What are we spinning rifle and saber? And what do the flags look like? What do the costumes look like?
Oh
and
my
I have
God.
to be like, up the brakes.
Seriously.
The brakes.
Do state
We got to
first.
finish this season first. We got to focus on this first. And me, myself personally, like, part of me wanted to text the band director and be like, hey, can you send me the music? I want to hear the music. I know what the show theme is. We talked about that already. But and then the other part of me was like, dude, I ain't even trying to hear it until after this winter guard season. Let me get through the next couple of weeks. So how do we all do it? How do we all stay focused on what we're, it's so crazy. And, all the costume designers are posting this week, start getting your fall stuff in. And it's crazy. Like, it's going to take a lot for us to stay focused. We got to pull together and we're all in this together, guys. We all just got to pull together and make it happen.
For real. That's why I don't even hand out music until after state is done for both my winter groups.
Yeah.
We always had a rule at Spintronics where, granted, being an independent of a school or anything else helps with that a little bit, but I had students who liked to talk about next winter guard season during our current winter guard season, so I would say, no, you can talk about that on the ride home from championships. That's when you can talk about what you want to do. Trevor?
Yeah, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
About
what are we doing?
What are we doing? What are we doing? Athletic departments of college and universities. What are we doing? It is March Madness. Pep bands have been putting in the time all season to support their men's and women's basketball team, right? And you're reading these stories where these athletic departments don't have the money to send pep bands to the tournament. They've been last for years. Yeah, boo. Yeah, insert boo here. And they're now writing like they're not doing that, but they're writing like all these lovely fluff pieces about how X college band or university band sits in for said university band because the university didn't want to front the money to send a pep band, a hard group of workers, hard set of students who've been there tooth and nail to support their teams. And then when it's time to go on the road and travel and pay for buses and hotels or flights, they don't want to take those extra 30 kids with them. But what are we doing, athletic departments across the nation? We got to do better. Those band kids, those spirit squads put in a lot of time, and they should be rewarded. They worked hard too to cheer on that team. Sometimes when people don't even go to the games, they're the only people that are there. We can't forget about them. We can't dilute their efforts. And so that's why I'm asking, what are we doing there?
I love it. That was one of our news stories from earlier in the episode too, talking about what happened with Yale. And yeah, it's crazy. Like just get them there, even if it's just a smaller group from the full size band.
And what they're doing is they're paying, the athletic departments are opting to pay like local like high school bands less money than they would have taken to bring the other group over, and just save money. And then say that their band wasn't available. What do you mean they weren't available?
That's a lie.
They had the tournament on their syllabus. What do you mean they weren't available? You just don't want to pay the money. We know what the game is. Just stop it. Treat the band and spirit squads like they should be treated with respect and dignity, and let them go on these important trips to celebrate the success of the team. That's all I'm asking.
All right, Whitney, what are we doing?
Oh man, I have so many thoughts. I think my what are we doing today is what are we doing about kids quitting at the end of the season?
Yes.
It is crazy. Like I literally had a senior quit today We had rehearsal today.
I can't even believe that.
A senior
Is it senioritis
too.
or something?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
100%.
Wow.
It is 100% senioritis.
It's so laid
And
back.
if we think about
Yeah.
these seniors, this senior class, which I've lost so many kids from this senior class. I should have like 14 in this senior class, but I now have 3. It is the most kids I've ever lost ever in any one class. Like it's outrageous. But I think because their freshman year was the virtual year, and it was just such a wash overall, and like we actually did still get to do Winter Guard, like we did in person and virtual. But like I think because their freshman year was such poo-poo and their 8th grade year got cut short, they just can't care about literally any commitment. And I'm scared for them once they graduate this year, because I think they're just going to be quitters. I really do. Like I think this and this is like an issue for a lot of people, is just like this senior class just like ain't it. And if you have good seniors, I'm really happy for you. I'm glad I still have 3 and they're good ones, but like, man, I've lost some kids from this class. It is insane.
Whitney, when is state?
Next Saturday.
We couldn't wait just that long.
Right.
Wow.
And we had rehearsal tonight and next Tuesday, and that's it.
Right. So they should be so excited about that.
It wasn't like I was like, oh, you got to be here all Easter weekend and we're doing 9 to 9s and whatever. It's like you had 2 rehearsals and a send-off show and 1 more competition. That was it. And we didn't even think we were going to make state. Like we didn't go in ranked in a spot for state. So it was like a huge deal that we made it. And it's like, what? This is supposed to be the celebration. Right, but she just couldn't handle it. It was just too much.
I will say, so in the world of drum majoring, I'm dealing with that same senior class right now. And I have to admit, one of the things that bugs me about it is it kind of is a ripple down effect too, because the freshmen see the attitude of the seniors and then the freshmen think that that's normal. And it's just, I've been fighting against it to the point of I'm actually questioning about making cuts this late in the season. Like I just don't want to even have it. That's so funny that you guys saw that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and when they go from
it's an issue,
revered leader to I've got 9 weeks left of school until I'm finally out of here, and that whole like don't meet your idols thing kind of wears off. It's harder for those underclassmen, especially because those seniors have so much to offer.
Right. It's the torch. It's passing the torch on. Right. Literally.
Instead, I feel like they sometimes drop it.
Absolutely.
That's not allowed if it's the Olympic flame. I'm just saying. That's like, you got to go all the way back to Greece and get it again.
Girl, we barely holding a matchstick.
Whitney got jokes.
Well, Jack, what are we doing?
Okay, what are we doing for individuals going into championships, be it drum major or color guard, second guessing themselves about the stuff that they already know? Like that's been really bugging me, is because like when we get like our final round of tapes, right, and commentary, people are hyper analytical about it to the point where it's hindering them. And I think there's really sort of that hidden word of like, okay, you can be analytical about it, but you can't kick yourself down. And it's hard sometimes for high schoolers to realize that if they overanalyze something, they may completely rip out their entire routine. And so I've been in a kind of a panic, making sure that the students realize they have the toolkit to win. They just need to go out and execute. And those fine-tuned details aren't super, super obvious, but they should be cleaned up a little bit. Like that's the most we should see, is an attempt to clean that up. So I've been really fighting students' mentalities to completely trash portions of their routine, as opposed to making very small, minor adjustments to really have as clean of a run possible. So what are we doing in regards to that?
Really, it's about protecting their like mental capacities, basically. Like it's just a mind game at a point.
At the end of it, absolutely.
I feel like it was really like that in drum corps and everything. Like, you know, they talk about like, oh, you got to get through the first 2 weeks or whatever, and then you'll be through it. And it's like, well, if you're constantly like calling home every night and crying about how you're not there or whatever, if your brain's somewhere else and you're not like protecting that.
Well, and part of it is like, I also try and say like all the other competitors are doing that. So like strategically, this is totally my competitive side coming out. If everyone's going to start to shoot themselves in the foot, hold back just a little bit and just focus on yourself, right? Because all your competitors are going to do that. They're all going to want to, if you're doing it, they're all doing it. So I always say hold back.
That's a good one.
And then just on yourself. And it works every time. So yeah.
Deven, now that you kind of see our big like mind meld going on here with all of this, I want to ask you, what are we doing?
We're not collaborating. And I gotta ask, what are we doing? I joined this conversation as a band director where I'm overseeing concert band and jazz band and solo and ensemble. I manage the Winter Guard and indoor percussion. Our school also hosts an independent percussion group. And with all that, and it frustrates me because we were talking about kid issues earlier, like things that kids need to work on. This is something as adults that we got to do better. Like where I'm at right now, our state indoor percussion and Winter Guard circuits aren't aligned. So there are several weeks when there are shows for both opposite ends of the state. So if I want to be a good band director and support both groups, I've either got to pick, or I have to hope that the draws are different enough where I can catch this one at 10 o'clock and this one at 2:30. Or hope that one's doing prelims finals and I can catch the second performance or something like that. On top of that, just looking at the concert band schedules, whether it be university festivals, music for all, region competitions, things like that. Because it wears me out. And then I also have to remember my students are going through the exact same thing. Like just this week, we had a rehearsal, we had a region festival, and then there's more events coming up. Finals are coming up for both of the groups. And looking out for the physical and mental well-being of our kids, I don't want to over or understate this, but there's stress that goes with that. And if we don't manage it well, it's going to start to weigh more than it ought to on our kids. It's already hard enough. We don't need to make it extra hard. Likewise, for our parents and our administrators, I'm really blessed where our parents travel well. We're a small program, but they'll show up. But it's hard to show up at one spot at 10 in the morning and then buy a whole separate ticket, drive 40 miles to the other end of the state, buy another ticket, and they want to show up. Hey, we have the money and the will and the support. Can we give you our money? And by the adults just not talking together, we're not doing that very well. And they have to pick one activity or the other. And I think it reduces enrollments in the groups. It reduces support from communities. Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? We got to collaborate better.
Deven, to your point, I've noticed that in this kind of post-COVID world, whether we're talking about band programs or guard programs or events or functions or projects that people are working on, it seems to me as a band director myself that people are more protective of their thing, whether that be like a performing circuit or the ensemble that they coach or the band program that they run, and they just want to build it back up. They want it to kind of be its own thing. And we've become less likely to share the stage. We've been less likely to share our time and our thoughts with other directors in similar positions. That's just kind of like my take on it. I don't think that we're purposely doing it. I think we're just trying to invest more in the thing that we saw become very fragile, and we almost lost it. And that kind of scared us a little bit. And so we've kind of retreated to like our own foxhole a little bit. And I think to your point, it's time to get out of it. Like it's time to work together. It's time to try to lift everyone up. And I think that's a really good message that you're singing, that you're kind of praising right now and putting out into the universe. So I absolutely.
And one of my own like self-owning my mistakes, I looked at the calendar and realized between me and my colleague, we ended up booking 2 or 3 different events that, hey, you're not going to be able to have rehearsal tonight because we're doing this concert band thing or this jazz band thing. And then I'm sitting here wondering, well, why are they behind schedule? I didn't work with them. So just making sure that we work cohesively as a team.
The number of directors that I talk to on a regular basis, mostly in Missouri, but in a few other states that I'm working with right now, that just simply will not have programs for their students who want the programs because of this, because there's so much overlap and because there's adults at like these circuit levels and at these like state education levels that just can't seem to get it together and like put together like a schedule even, because there will be like Winter Guard competitions on the same day of like state solo and ensemble performances and stuff like that. So it's like, and they just simply are like, well, that's fine. Then we're just not going to have a Winter Guard at our school. Or there's a huge number of schools here in particular that have simply flat out said they're not going to do WINS. WINS is amazing. It is such a great program. It's so good for students, but there's so much overlap that they just said, it's too much. I can't do it. We can't make it happen. And I think if they were to see, the communication happening between these different organizations and the different people running things, that maybe there could be some organization to it. Maybe there could be, some way to have these different programs on a level that would be acceptable.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush and go.
Well, I guess it's time for Gush and Goes. This is my favorite part of the show because you get to gush and go on about whatever you like for about a minute or so. Trish, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So going back to the show that I talked about earlier, the Elizabeth show, the nostalgia trip, not only was that a blast, but I also got to run into our very own Cynthia Bernard there.
Oh,
she was there trialing. She sat with Eric Kitcheman. So, I mean, best of the best right there. So I'm sure she got a lot of really good feedback. It was cool sitting with her at Critique with Eric. I wish she would have been able to interject, into the conversation what she thought, but I guess, on a trial basis, she just had to listen and take it all in. But we got to snap a little selfie, posted it up. So I was really great seeing her. Many of you know this, but she and I marched together many years ago. So it was really nice to reconnect with her. And I wish I would have known what her commentary sounded like, but all good. It was nice running into her.
Well, we're going to have her on the show in Dayton. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Trevor, what would you like to gush and go on about?
I guess 2 short mini things. First of all, we're coming up on a Easter break. So band directors, if you can, color guard directors, see if you can grab a day of sleep and rest and rejuvenation. I just want to gush and go about taking care of self.
That's right.
So yeah, I just got back from celebrating a birthday of a really close colleague at my university, and it was really nice just to kind of just do that and not worry about work and just for a couple of hours. So take care of yourself. And the second thing is, man, we're like just less than 2 months away from move-ins for drum corps, and I'm super excited about it. And we're going to be off to the races about that. So I know some drum corps are still looking for a few more performers. So if you feel like you want to still participate in 2024 DCI summer, reach out to those individual drum corps. It will change your life. That's a really great experience.
Whitney?
Gush and go. Oh my goodness. I'm just excited about WGI, honestly. My gush and go is prepping for WGI, and just, I'm mostly spectating this year for like the first time in a really long time, and I'm so excited. So WGI.
I can't wait to see you.
Oh, yay!
I'm just excited. I haven't seen you since like 2019 or something crazy.
Yeah.
Jack, what would you like to gush and go about?
Honestly, what I'm going to gush and go about is just I've been falling in love with this opportunity to interview a variety of different people in regards to the parade band world, as well as just the color guard world. I mean, it's been just a blast. Like the conversation with Rob Jett was awesome, right? And then I go and turn around the next week, and then for our current just recorded video, we just did a state champion drum major, the California state champion drum major L pattern, where I brought back some of my friends, the past 4 state champions, and we sat down at a round table. So go and listen to it when that video comes out, because I just love hearing the different perspectives that individuals bring to an art form, and their journey through those leadership positions, I think, is super invaluable to new leadership in the musical world, new drum majors, right? And I think having those individuals to look up to is really important, because that really keeps the art form going. So I've been having a blast talking not only with you guys, but with amazing performing artists from around the West Coast. So it's been a blast.
I need to gush about the Macy's band for this year, the Macy's color guard for this year in particular, because Normally, a lot of my students don't hear back from them until like June, maybe is when they actually start closing out. However, here we are in March, and they have received the most color guard editions they've ever received. They had over 100 people try out for this color guard. And I have not been told how many they've accepted, but they have accepted the entire color guard, along with putting some on-call alternates on a list as well. So this is like huge for them. This has been awesome. I'm sure part of it has been that we've been talking about it on the podcast, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see the talent and everything that's going to be at the Macy's parade this year for the Macy's band color guard, because I think these kids are pulling out all the stops. I'm very excited.
I want to go. I could do a drop spin.
Come on, let's go.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
You can play an instrument. It's fine.
I can play one of those. One instrument. Yes.
One instrument. Just pick one. Next time they do the band director's marching band in the Macy's parade, we need to jump on board with that one. Like, I feel like the whole On a Water Break cast should.
Yeah, if y'all have color guard.
Truth. Deven, what would you like to gush and go on about?
I've got to gush about my design team. I'm really lucky to work with Peter Bates and Bradley Sampson. I feel like so much of our activity revolves around spending more and more and more and more money. And don't get it wrong, I pay both these folks well with their organizations, but when they're building our show, they focus so much on what do we know, what are we going to learn, and for me, that makes it so much more pedagogical for me, as far as making considerations of what equipment we need to buy for like instruments that need to be played, equipment for the guard performers, considering uniforms, all that stuff. It just makes the job much more wholesome and rewarding rather than just, can we throw more dollars at this? So big shout out Peter Bates, Bradley Sampson with their design teams.
Deven, I taught Bradley Sampson. He played mellophone for me years and years
out of
ago.
the Troopers.
Out of the Trooper Loop. Yeah. Bradley was a great human being. He's always been kind-hearted. It's not surprising that he's willing to work with everyone to make sure that they have what they need at a reasonable price. So shout out to Bradley. Miss you, dude.
Hey, it's called Gush and Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
All right, guys, if you are going to be at WGI, I just got to tell you, we are going to be in the Show Day Designs booth, the On a Water Break cast. Come down. We're going to be doing live shows. We're going to be doing live recordings. We're going to be interviewing performers, instructors, designers. We're going to have so many different guests from these WGI groups that are going to be on there. We're going to be watching shows. We're going to just be like doing all kinds of crazy stuff. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you go ahead and do that. We're going to have several different people from our cast on there. Whitney's going to be there. Ricardo's going to be there. Trish is going to be there. Ashlee's going to be there. We're just going to be hyping it up. We're just going to be partying. So Show Day Designs
That's
booth.
Right.
Make sure you come find us. Maybe we should I'm going to be there. I should probably throw that in there. I guess I thought that was a given already. I'm going to be there and yeah, come on down and meet everybody. And I don't know, maybe we should throw some fans on there too. Like if you guys are our listeners and you want to come be on the show, we could do a little bit of shout outs for you guys. AMP is booked, so we're going to be talking to them. Not that anybody likes AMP, right?
Who?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
What color guard?
Who?
Never heard of them.
Who?
And if any of our listeners really haven't heard of AMP, go look them up on social media. AMP, Winter Guard, they're amazing. Thank you guys for a great rehearsal this week. Thank you so much to our hosts, Trish, Trevor, Whitney, and Jack. Thank you, Deven. If our listeners want to come and find some of your musings on social media, where can they follow you?
So most of my stuff is on Facebook, but if you want to find me on Instagram, I have an account for the band. It's Provo_High_bands. I post lots of announcements about our group there, but also just some things that happen here and there. So that'd be the best spot to catch me.
All right, check you. I'm going to go follow you right now. One more thing. Don't forget, we have our YouTube channel now. It has many of our interviews, and there are full video editions coming out all the time. So go and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss those over on YouTube. And before you close out this podcast listening app, make sure you go subscribe to our show, write us a review, share this with a friend. I can't wait to read all of your reviews, honestly. And make sure you share this with a friend so they can listen too. Follow us on our social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at the next rehearsal on a water break.
Go practice.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.